Max?
Yeah?
How you doing, darling?
Do you know, I'm not doing too well, really. I'm not had the best couple of weeks.
Oh, no. Hey,
Last
Max,
Monday,
I really,
yeah.
I want you to do something for me. Just clear your mind and tell me the first name that comes into your head, because that's him. That's the one.
I'm thinking Frank. He's Frank to you, Francis professionally. I'm seeing him in a big corner office somewhere. High flyer, human rights lawyer, I think. Successful,
Yeah.
but with a heart. He's going to worship the ground you walk on.
Oh my God, he sounds fantastic. I really, really love Frank. I'm going to go and find him right now.
Don't you want to know about his penis first?
Hello and welcome to Let's Get Frank, the dating podcast presented by me, Bibi Lynch. I'm a journalist and broadcaster, and I've written for lots of the nationals, had columns in Red, Grazia and GQ, broadcast on BBC Radio, hosted a sex podcast called Good Sex, Bad Sex, and my last relationship ended the day after Diana died. I know. I should be an expert, but I can't even get a second date. So this is a podcast about my journey to find the love of my life, Francis, professionally. With the help of my sounding board and dating coach extraordinaire, Annabelle Knight, I'm going to find Frank, date Frank, and hopefully marry Frank. Good luck, everyone.
On this episode of Let's Get Frank, meet Franx, also known as Franxster. She is straight, female, and a full-time parent. She's 30 years old and married with 2 little girls. She never really dated pre-marriage, but definitely had her, quote, hot girl summer. She loves house renovation, upcycling, and getting things for free. Bibi's up to try anything. And maybe Franx is the Frank for her. This is Let's Get Frank.
Annabelle, Miss Annabelle Knight. I've missed you, our resident sex, relationship, dating coach, who's also a best-selling author and TV presenter with a range of sex toys. How have you been?
I've been brilliant. Thank you so much for that introduction. It's it was fantastic. I loved it.
It was all right, wasn't it? I'm going to start jazzing up your intros. I think you deserve that. If anyone does, it's you. I don't want you to be jealous. Before we start chatting today, I just don't want you to be jealous, but I have another date.
I'm excited for this. I'm not jealous. I'm in. I'm with you. I want this to happen.
Do you really? Because some of the advice you've been giving me, I think you want to scupper it.
Maybe there is a very small thread of sabotage in there. I just don't like seeing people too happy.
The sabotage is totally from me. So your advice is always brilliant, and I've been taking it all on board. And it is like super relevant and super pertinent. There is something about me though. It's like my knee jerk. It's like so I got this date today, and I feel anxious. So I feel not ready. I feel like I haven't had my advice and my training, and I have had my advice and my training. So I know we might be kind of covering old ground again, but can I ask you, and this is for anyone else as well listening who's about to go on a date and just trying to find love, what are the general tips?
Okay, so first tip is just relax. Do some breathing exercises, do anything you would normally do that would make you feel, in a bit more of a peaceful state of mind. Because once we start getting bedded down in anxiety or our nerves, we trip ourselves up. So the best thing you can try and do is to relax, whether that's, mantras or reading a book or running a bath. Just do something that will put you in a relaxed state of mind. That's my number one piece of advice. My second piece of advice is do something that makes you feel special or sexy or beautiful. And that could mean, treat yourself to a blow dry or full face of makeup or pair of heels. Like, it could be absolutely anything, even a gym workout before the date. Whatever you would do that would boost you internally and mentally in your kind of personal and private life, try and bring that into your dating world, just so you feel really good and really bolstered before you go. And then my third and final tip is to know that this might not be the one. It might not be everything you wanted. It might be absolutely terrible, but that is okay and that's fine. Each date and each experience is unique, and there are always lessons to be learned, even from the very worst dates.
It goes against the way I psych myself up for a date. And if I can remind everyone, I can't get a second date. My last relationship ended the day after Diana died. That's Princess Diana, the people's princess, Annabelle. Is the way I get through the dates, get through the nerves, is to make it a non-date in my head. I dress down for a date. I friend zone them.
You do. And then, there is nothing wrong with, going casual and feeling comfortable, but we're talking about externals here, and you take the external and you make it the internal as well. So what we're trying to do is, be comfy, wear trainers on the outside, but on the inside, you've got like fierce red lips, big eyelashes, heels, and a sassy walk. So, it's all about your mindset. Get your head in the right space and the rest will follow.
I love the heels and the sassy walk. For our younger listeners, they won't understand this. You won't understand this, but do use the gift of Google. Dick Emery. Google Dick Emery. That's what I'm like in heels and my sassy walk. Annabelle, you won't get that because you're too young.
I'm Googling right now. Oh, you are not.
Oh, you are awful. So I need to at least inwardly psych myself, and then I'm ready for what's happening. With this date specifically, can I tell you a couple of things about Frank? And I'm wondering if you've got some kind of gems to get to. I love my language, to get me through it. I shouldn't see this as an endurance test, should I?
No, it's not. It's not a PE lesson. You're not 14 and feigning your period so you can get out of it. No, this is something to look forward to, at the end of the day, right? Even if you don't fancy this person or you don't think anything specific is going to happen, it's an opportunity to hear someone else's kind of life experience. And, that can be really valuable in itself. And even if it's not valuable, it can be entertaining.
Something we can use later. Okay, today's Frank, the Frank I'm about to have a date with, is a straight woman. Does that present any specific difficulty? What with me being a straight woman as well?
Potentially, as far as this probably is going to go, is friendship. But, there can be some very erotic and illicit moments between two straight females. I'm doing air quotes here. You may learn a few things, yeah.
Oh, quite into that. How do we know I'm straight?
Because you told me.
Yeah, thinking that might have been a rhetorical question.
I believe sexuality is a spectrum. I don't think there's hard and fast, straight at one end and gay at the other. I think for most people, we fall for the person. And, if, for example, if my husband was to have a terrible chip pan accident, I would still be attracted to him. Even if he looked like he should live under a bridge, I would still love him and be attracted to him. And that is, in some weird way, what I'm trying to say is we're attracted to people's personalities, to their spirits, to their souls, to what makes them them. And the external kind of flesh package it's presented in is, for the most part, kind of just by the by. I think people put too much stock in the flesh package.
And also, you know what? I'm saying I'm a straight woman, but maybe I've just never met the woman that I remember that brilliant quote of when Madonna first met K.D. Lang and just said, Elvis is alive and she is beautiful. K.D. Lang, the hottest woman. Oh my goodness. Maybe Frank and I are going to discover something special. I've got something else to tell you about Frank. Not only a straight woman, married.
So unavailable is what we're going for here.
Can we still say that at least it's still a positive, encouraging experience, something I can still learn from?
I think any experience with another person, whether they're available, whether they are, on your sexual wavelength, I think we can learn lessons from every interaction. So I would say go into it with an open mind, an open heart, listen to what she has to say, and also know that you also have very valid things to say. You're a great person and she would be very lucky to have you.
She would be. Can I ask you one little question? What would you say to someone who finds himself invariably drawn to people who are unavailable?
I would say that is a strategy of self-sabotage, and it is an unhealthy habit and one that should be avoided, addressed first and then avoided. Because all you're doing is breaking your own heart over and over again.
Right, so I've got the date in about 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to. I'm wearing a couple of jumpers. I know that's not very sexy, but I was quite cold. I might put some lip balm on.
Cold.
It's cold. I'm going to put some tinted lip balm on to give me a little bit of. And I've got my hoop earrings in. So can you give me the pep talk, Annabelle Knight? Just give me, tell me what I need to hear to help me get that second date.
Okay, you are fabulous. You are a successful, funny, beautiful woman that has a lot to offer. Any single person on the face of the planet would be very lucky to have you in their lives as a friend, lover, or whatever a space you occupy. Anyone would be very lucky just to know you, let alone to be close to you. And you should take that into this date and run with it.
Frank, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Am I more than you imagined I'd be, or a bit less?
I'm a little bit intimidated, I won't lie, but just to put you at ease, I don't have any headphones. I've had to borrow my daughter's. So if I just flick these up for a second, I'm a unicorn.
It looks like you've got a penis on your head.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. So
Exactly. With ears, though. A furry one with ears.
So I thought, I'll turn them so she won't know, but then I've gone and told you anyway.
Frank. Oh, well, first of all, can I call you Frank?
Please do, yes.
Frank, Franxster.
Yeah, I think only my good friends call me Frank or Franxster.
Right.
Or Franks. No one actually calls me Frankie, really.
I don't have children, and if I was going to have children, I was always going to call my child Frankie.
Well, that's a great name. Do you know what?
Yeah.
This is sidetracked here. I had someone that I knew fairly well, and they named their daughter Frankie, which I thought was a little bit weird.
Oh my God, I see your Frankie, and I raise you an even weirder one. Bibi is a very unusual name. Frank is a beautiful name and not a common one, but Bibi. And it was a woman who did that classic thing of found a bloke, dropped all her friends, because I love that when people do that. Found a bloke, dropped all her friends, and then married him, got pregnant, and called her daughter Bibi.
Bit strange.
Really strange, isn't it? Anyway, I rarely date, and I've only had a few video dates. Have you ever had a video date before?
Never. No, I don't think they were really a thing when I was still dating, or if they were, I wasn't doing it. But yeah, I've been with my husband now for 8 years, so dating is just a foreign thing to me at the moment.
Does he know you're doing this?
He does, yes. He was very excited. He might be hoping for a menage a trois, but
Oh, German, the language of love. So you've been married for 8 years. How do you? Oh man, I can't get a second date. What's being married like?
So we've been married for half that time, together for 8 years. It's great, to be honest. It's great, but it's no different from being in a long-term relationship, I feel, except that I've got his last name, which I now regret. I just feel like the woman in me should have been like, no, I'm not taking any man's name. It's not really any different. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble.
Oh, because I'm holding out. But anyway, no, this is our date. We can't talk about him. Why did you marry him? Yeah. Why did you marry him?
Because he knocked me up and he's French. Main 2 reasons.
When you met him, it's a beautiful story, Frank. Very emotional now.
Thank you so much.
When you met him, because this is what I do on dates, and I think, and Annabelle Knight, our dating expert, who you must meet, but I don't want you to meet her because you might prefer her to me. My problem with dates is, and maybe you did this when you were dating, is I put so much expectation on it. I expect them to be the one instantly. Did you know he was the one when you met him?
It's a bit of no, yes and no. So we were colleagues at work, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and it was purely friendship. And we talked about our past dating to each other. Like, we showed off, like, I bet you've never done this, I've done this, sort of thing. So there was no secrets between us. And then one night he told me that he liked me, and it took me completely by surprise. So then we started dating from that day onwards, and I knew that was it. I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I put it in my wallet, saying like 6th of June 2014. And I was like, I've met my husband, and obviously I showed him later. But I just knew it was different.
Well, first of all, there's two questions to ask. What made it different, and at what stage in your relationship did you show him the piece of paper that said you'd met your husband?
probably a few weeks in, to be honest. I'd been dating on and off, like relationship after relationship. And sometimes when you change yourself a little bit to fit in with your partner, like if they're into football, you're suddenly like a football fan. And, if it was a relationship, I wasn't quite truthful with my friends because I didn't want them to judge me. And I've been messed around in the past. I just thought, I'm going to be so honest with Elliot from the get-go. And I literally walked up to him and I was like, do you want this to be just casual sex? Are you looking for a relationship? What do you want? Because I'm really not in the mood right now to be like messed around. Just tell me. And that sort of set the tone for our relationship, where we were just really honest with each other, just like unforgivingly honest sometimes, which just meant that I said, if you want to text me, don't wait. And if you love me, you tell me. Just don't, I'm not playing any games, I'm bored. I'm quite an honest person. Like, it's like verbal diarrhea. So I feel like sometimes trying to keep all your emotions hidden and trying to play it cool, I find that quite hard. So I would just let go, almost maybe for the first time. I just let go properly and just let myself be loved. And it worked out well. Like, one of my best friends, Stacey, she always said, like, it wasn't supposed to work out with you two. No one's supposed to get together that quickly and have a baby that quickly and it all come up roses. But within 10 months of dating, I got pregnant. So it was quite early on. So I had a baby at 24. So yeah, it wasn't part of the plan, but it worked out well.
Yeah, well, I mean, what is the plan? Everyone can have a plan, and the plan's rarely part of the plan, isn't it? I find this really interesting because it will not be a surprise to you that I've had much therapy.
That's a great thing. I think therapy's great.
I've always thought this. Is it a good thing? I'm kind of stammering around over it. Is it a good thing to talk about the really heavy stuff in your life with someone when you first meet them? I guess my thing would always be, should I do this right at the beginning? I love that this is a therapy session, but should I? But in the way that you did, you went straight to Elliot and was just like, I want this, I want this, I want this. If I was doing that, I'm 55, so I'm a lot older than you, and I feel like I've got a masses of stuff that I'd want to kind of say, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, almost like a litmus test, because I don't want 3 months of toying with them, not toying with them, but kind of giving them an impression, because we like you said as well, you pretended to be into things like football, whatever. We all kind of do that, and I don't have time to do that.
I think if I was doing it again now, I'd probably do like a litmus test slightly. So I'd put, my 3 top things that I was into, and I'd sort of casually drop it into the conversation. But I would probably just be honest. It's how much honesty you give. So never tell a lie, but, keep some honesty back for a few dates later just to test the water. But it's that thing of like, it's a very fine balance of, you don't want to scare them off, but also you don't want to waste a year of your life to find out they don't want the same things as you. And then by then you've fallen in love and you've.
And it's about being able to deal with what stuff you've been. I mean, I write a lot about a lot of personal stuff, a lot of first person stuff. So if someone Googled me, they'd know about me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of terrible and kind of brilliant at the same time.
But at the same time, if they know that and they're going on a first date with you, that's already a great sign. So you're already over the first hurdle. Whereas maybe if you weren't Googleable, is that a word? Googleable?
Yes.
Then, and then you had that first meeting and then they found out, maybe they would shrink back a bit, but they already go into it knowing who you are. So if you've got a first date, I think that's actually more impressive.
Did you ever enjoy dating?
Yes and no. I don't think I traditionally dated. Like I never went on a date with someone that I didn't already know. So I kind of had like mini relationships. I've had like full-blown relationships or like little affairs of the heart or affairs of the genitals. Just for like, sure. Well, it's better than saying, fuck buddy. But I already knew these people. It might not come across, but I'm actually a little bit shy. I take a while to warm up to people. And the only reason I'm warming up to you is because I've had a large Baileys, just to calm my nerves. But I've never dated in the traditional sense. Like I've never really gone on a true first date. I've always sort of like been with colleagues or friends of friends and sort of got to know people that way. But I did enjoy it. I think I enjoyed the attention when I was younger. I think especially, around the age of 21, I was feeling myself. I sort of felt more grown and I was enjoying like sex, to be honest. So I think having a high sex drive when I was 21 explains a lot of the relationships I sort of found myself in. So I did enjoy it, but it wasn't like traditional dating, like people like apps and stuff. I didn't do Tinder or anything.
Would you do that if you were single now? Would you go down that route?
Absolutely.
Or would you start a podcast to find love like me?
Both. Why not? I think with Tinder, I think people are quite, well, I don't know actually, but I've heard that people are quite honest about what they want. I mean, there's a lot of catfishes out there, but if you want casual sex, like the people are pretty open with it.
I find it endlessly disappointing with the apps, and I don't know what that's about. And
Yeah.
again, Annabelle Knight, which I'm sure say it's self-sabotage, because I'm just expecting even someone to just kind of blow my mind off the page, off the phone, off the monitor, and that's not going to happen, is it? It doesn't happen.
Do you use the dating apps, or do you use things like Tinder for more like, or do you use both?
I don't use Tinder. I use even if there's a dating app, which I know Tinder is like, it's mainly for hookups, isn't it? Even if it's not saying that, it's kind of mainly for hookups. I hate the idea of being on something just for hookups. I'm a really old-fashioned. There's something perversely old-fashioned about me, considering that I write and talk about sex all the time.
Actually, that does remind me. I think I was on Tinder very, very briefly for literally like a few weeks back in the day. I mean, I'm not that old, but and I think someone messaged me and we were like texting and sexting, if you like. But then when he like asked to meet up, this is probably quite common, I panicked. I was like, oh, no. I sort of like the transition from online personality me, which I had lots of confidence, to in real life. I wasn't pretending to be anyone else. I'm still me, but I just couldn't do it. I suddenly became the really shy person that hadn't met him before. I couldn't do it. I think sometimes you put on this bravado of like, I'm a like sexy, confident woman, and inside you're like, no, I'm not. I'm just pretending.
I've got pop socks on.
Yeah, I'm wearing my pajamas. I'm just a mum who's wearing unicorn headphones.
And I've got Baileys on my chin.
Yeah,
you haven't.
No.
Did you feel that you'd had all the adventures you'd needed to have before getting married to make being married? You're shaking your head.
No, absolutely not. Like, if I was going to plan it, we weren't ready for a baby financially. We were living somewhere near London, in a very expensive 1-bedroom flat. We weren't ready for a baby in that situation. We weren't ready financially, weren't ready mentally, but I had fertility issues. So it was we just went with it, and that's what we decided to do. So we moved up north a little bit for cheaper, but we really struggled financially. And we hadn't gone on those big holidays together, and we hadn't done those fun things, but we had the different adventure of being young parents, which we really, really enjoyed. So I don't regret it at all. But at the same time, I'm wishing them to be 18. So we're going on those holidays that, we've missed out on.
What about kind of dating adventures, sex adventures? Do you feel, because I'd always feel like, okay, if I got married, I'd really want it to be forever. In my head, it would be forever. So I'd want to feel like I did everything that I wanted to try before. I'm not asking you out here because we're already on the date, but like, I'm a straight woman, you're a straight woman. You've readily said yes to me. So I'm assuming you want this to go further. So did you have any did you get all your sexual adventures out the way, is what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and some, I think I had sex and relationships that was bad or just meh, and I think that was good for just learning about what I wanted as well. I also had, like, how do I put this without displaying his identity? I had a long-term sex partner for about 4 years. We dated, but it wasn't love. We both knew that. Everyone else would be like, oh my God, you're so in love with each other. We're like, no. It was like pure, and we just had a great sex relationship, to be honest. We both we just were very compatible. I definitely felt like all my sexcapades have been ticked, if you like. And I was always really worried younger. I was told by my parents, like, you have sex when you get married. And even when I was like 7, I was like, that's a long time to wait. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I think I was just very sexual. I sort of knew that I maybe had a bit of a higher sex drive than other people at that time. I was really worried when I was younger that once if I get married to someone that I love, but the sex is rubbish. But I'm very lucky. My husband will be very happy to listen to this. But I couldn't have married him if the sex was bad. It's amazing. That was something I was really worried about, that if it wasn't very good, but I loved him, I might stray because I wanted that gratification. But I'm lucky. So far, so good.
I feel quite inspired because I think that again, Annabelle will say things to me. I know I self-sabotage everything. And I guess so what Annabelle needs to get me on a couch, don't be jealous, Franxster, and to kind of work out
I've got a lovely image.
what it is, why I'm self-sabotaging. We know that I do, but we need to know why. I secretly know. I've had enough therapy to know, but I haven't told anyone yet. But it's interesting to and so what are those reasons? And I guess one of them is the fear of being bored, the fear of straying, because I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah, I think.
But you're showing me that doesn't happen. Doesn't have to happen.
It doesn't have to happen. We've been together 8 years. I guess it's still fairly a new relationship in terms of if we're going to be together forever. It's still the first half. Without making myself sound like a terrible person, I've never been faithful in a relationship. I've actually always strayed, whether it's like long term or literally right at the last 24 hours of a relationship, I've strayed and I've broken it off. I'm not proud of that. I would stray because I got bored. I have a very short attention span. It hasn't happened. And I even wake up with dreams and nightmares that I've strayed in my dream and I'm crying and I wake up and I'm like, thank God. And it's even happened with Jamie Redknapp's come into my dream and I'm like, no, Jamie Redknapp, I'm married. And I wake up and I thought, I've just said no in my dream and I could have had fantastic sex in my dream.
To Jamie Redknapp.
I don't know where he came from.
You can't turn down an ex-Liverpool footballer. He's too handsome. I interviewed Louise once, his then wife, and very beautiful, very fabulous breasts, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Is that okay to say?
Very jealous. I think definitely you could be an admirer.
Yeah, I'm not showing you mine. In your adventures, did you? So just have a little look at one. But did you ever? Because I'm straight, right? But I'm thinking, I wonder if that's part of the issue. Am I straight? Did you ever dabble?
I mean, I count myself as straight, but maybe people listening to the next part of my conversation wouldn't class me as that. But I've definitely always been an admirer of women. I think women are sexy. I just think boobs, I think they're great. Like, I think maybe I'm jealous, I'm quite flat-chested. So I'm just like, boobs, amazing. So yeah, I have dabbled once and it was great. My husband's always like, are you sure you don't fancy women? I'm like, no, I don't see myself having a relationship with someone, but like definitely sexier than men sometimes.
Hey, you know what I loved when I read about you? Because I like to research my dates fully.
Oh God.
Please don't think that's creepy.
How deep dive did you go?
I did not deep dive. I didn't deep dove, no. I love that you're into eBay.
Yes.
You love it.
I find nothing more erotic than someone saying, I like your table. And I'm like, £5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love it. In fact, I mean, this is going on a tangent now, but I bought a lamp from eBay, right? And I bought 2 and I thought I'm going to upcycle them and sell them for a profit. And they arrived, they were smashed. I thought, no. And I super glued it, polyfilled it. Now it's a beautiful texture lamp. And it's beautiful. It's in my living room. And it's my most prized possession. Are you going to keep my polyfiller lamp?
Can I please tell you what I do with things? Because I love I loved a bit. What's the thing on Facebook? I hate Facebook, but what's the thing? Marketplace.
Yes.
Got a couple of things, and I love finding like mid-century stuff, and I don't upcycle, but I love getting a few gems. And I love getting free things.
Yes. It's almost like you don't want it, but it's free. You will have it.
It's free. My brothers at one stage in my life called me Freebie Lynch. That was my nickname for a long time. I name my things that I get.
Oh, okay.
So your lamp could be, I've got a Lucy lamp, for instance. You could have a Layla lamp.
I'm not sure about that. I quite lovingly refer to it as my polyfiller lamp, but I will think about it.
Would you change your surname? If we married, would you take Lynch? Would you take my surname?
I think I go back to my maiden name, to be honest. Nothing against you, but I just think I just think that I owe it to my parents. But then that's an ownership as well. Maybe I'll just go by Frank. That's all I'll be.
Frank's a great name. Right, I'm going to make sure we see each other really soon. It's been so lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Annabelle.
What a date. What a date. I loved it. It was so much fun. So I make a kind of a page of observations about the date. And then on the other side, I write any little words or phrases that I find particularly funny. And in this one, affairs of the genitals made it. I thought that was brilliant. you describing yourself as perversely old-fashioned, and I was pulling my hair up because I was like, what did we talk about? We talked about how great you are, yet you have referred to yourself as a perverse, which is, I don't know, fine, I guess, but coupling that with old-fashioned, no, that is not the sexy, funny, intelligent, personality and vibe that you have and that you should be giving off. So less of the kind of self-deprecation, more boosting. But I really enjoyed how honest the date was from almost the word go. It was like two friends, old friends had met and were, just catching up with one another. And I also noticed that there was definitely a very kind of low-level flirty vibe, whether that's, like fancying flirty or just friendly flirt remains to be seen. But it was really cute. It was giggly. It was sweet. It was kind of pure to listen to. It was really nice.
I really loved her.
I did too, and I was very sorry that I couldn't see the unicorn headphones. I just had to imagine them.
Well, to be honest, I'm glad you didn't see them because you'll never be able to unsee them. Rest of my life, any phone call, if someone hasn't got a furry penis with ears on their head, I'll be disappointed, Annabelle Knight.
You'll be disappointed.
No one needs
I'm not surprised.
A life of disappointment. Yeah, I loved her. She was just so open and really funny and really, just a really up energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And really candid as well, which you kind of want from a date. Not in an overshare too much information kind of way, just in a I feel like I would get an honest answer regardless of the question I asked.
Annabelle, on a date, right? We've talked about this before, and consenting adults, you can do what you want after a date. So if you want to have sex, you can have sex. There's no rules around that. It's totally consensual. That's cool. Is there anything around when to leave a date? Because we kind of left on a high. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, because then it keeps you buoyed to want to see each other the next time and pick up. Are there any rules around that?
The rule is in a very similar kind of vein to the should you or shouldn't you not have sex. The rule is if it feels right and it's going well and you're having a good time, there's absolutely no reason why you need to impose a time limit on your date. Unless, you have kids to get home to or a job to go to. There's really, if you're enjoying it and it's flowing and it's natural and the barmen aren't waiting for you to leave so they can lock up, then just let it go on as long as it naturally goes on for. I mean, the longer the better, in my opinion. If the conversation is so good and you're having such a good time that time really is flying, then that's just a massive tick in a very important box, which is, do I enjoy spending time with this person?
Do you know what I do? I always like the idea of kind of meeting someone for a coffee, for a decaf, obviously, because I can't have caffeine, Annabelle. Have a little decaf, maybe a biscuit. Actually, no, not a biscuit, because I wouldn't eat on the first date anyway. And then that does turn into a glass of wine on the same day. Then that does turn into, oh, look, we better eat something, otherwise Bibi will be fainting somewhere in a gutter. And then that turns into cocktails, why not? And then they come home with you. Then you have sex. Then they don't go home in the morning. Then they go and get their toothbrush. They've moved in without you making any decision. I always kind of like the idea of that. What do you think?
That is it would make a great, I should be making notes for my next novel because that would be a fantastic story. But in reality, your external kind of independent life doesn't stop just because you've met someone fantastic. So that's kind of unlikely. But lots of people I know, myself included, did meet, in inverted commas, the right person. And, it's so easy and you want to spend your time together. So you do. And, I used to go home to get clean pants, and that was about it.
Well, I'm glad you added that to the story. Was there anything else that people listening could kind of take from that date, Frank and I?
I think that the level of honesty that kind of was woven throughout that date was something that people should definitely kind of take a leaf out of Frank's book with. She was really candid. Once you are honest with someone and they can feel you being honest, it's kind of like holding a mirror up. So that person's more likely to not confess, not divulge, but to be able to answer questions honestly as well, because you feel like, well, you trust me with your truth, so I can trust you with mine. And that's the foundation and the start of a strong relationship. So definitely bring your honest A game to your first date.
And following on from that, within the date, and I was saying to Franxster about that I was noting how honest she is, and I was saying I kind of, and that's how she met her husband, that she wanted kind of to say exactly what she wanted from it, that her take was different with this date. She wanted to be very honest and very straight, and what are you looking for, really kind of putting it out there. And I said to her, part of my problem, feels like it's a problem, is I kind of want to be honest. I don't want to have a fake date. I don't want to be persona. I'd like to actually say stuff to people. But I think if you hit a certain age, you've had a lot of life happen to you, haven't you? Is that a really bad thing to do on a date, or a really good thing to do? Because you're getting rid of the people that aren't going to be around, aren't you?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but it kind of comes across as like quite a jaded approach. Like, oh, been there, done that. I can't bother to even queue for the t-shirt. I think, if you are dating and you are dating several people and you're trying to find someone meaningful and a relationship that's going to go the distance and that you can, spend a considerable amount of your future with, a persona only delays that from happening, because it's just a wall that you've put up to, kind of sort the wheat from the chaff. But when you date the wheat, they've got a barrier between them and you. So the idea that you create a persona, again, it's kind of a level of self-sabotage and self-protection in some ways. And that can be a great thing. It can help you, but it can also hinder you. So treading that fine line between the real you and the one you project, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's one that must be done.
I hear all of this. Like you, I'm a note taker, Annabelle Knight, and that's all been. When you take notes about my dates, do you draw penises in the margin?
There's a love heart on this one, though.
You are such a romantic.
I am. I love love. It's my MO in life. Just everyone thinks it's cheesy, but I adore it. It's what I live for, and it's what I work for.
Give me an overall grade of what's my percentage chance you think of Frank dating me again?
Oh, do you know what? I think if she was free and single, I'd say 100%. You definitely clicked. There was definitely a vibe. And I think, in a different world, in a different universe, I would be sat here saying, I'm so excited to see where this goes. But, that's not the way of the world this time. She is married and not available, which does pose a little bit of a problem.
Let's not dwell. I'm focusing on 100%. I love that. So that was me and Franxster. Oh, I really loved her. She was just so charming and so charismatic and fun and buoyant. I keep using that word, but she just had that real kind of uplifting energy. And she was kind of perfect, except that, like me, she's a straight woman, and unlike me, she's married and has children. So I bet we're going to be friends, though. I bet we see here how high my voice went there. Such is the excitement of Franxster. I loved her. Thank you so much to our brilliant dating coach, the fabulous Annabelle Knight. And a huge thank you to today's wonderful Franxster. And most of all, thank you for listening. Please rate, subscribe, follow, and leave us a review to help other people find us. Keep listening and join me next week in my not at all humiliating quest to find my Frank. See you then.
I wouldn't date Bibi because I didn't feel we had a connection. No, I'm joking. I would definitely date Bibi. I feel like we clicked, got each other, we talked honestly, and that's something I really value. So definitely date her. She's sexy.